Well, hi everybody, Father Alex here. Welcome to another episode of the Godcast. My guest this week on the Godcast is Deana Martin, daughter of the famous singer Dean Martin. I do hope you enjoy the interview. If you do, then please do subscribe to my YouTube channel or check out me on X. You'll find me there at Alex DJ Frost, or check out my book, Our Daily Bread from Argos to the Altar, which is available online and in all good bookshops. But for now, do enjoy this interview with Deana Martin. Well, I am delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast this week is Deana Martin, the famous daughter of the legendary singer Dean Martin. Deana, it's fabulous to get you on the Godcast. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to be here with you. It's we're just spreading the word, and what we're doing is making people happy all over the world. It's important.
It really is, and for people who've not tuned into the Godcast before, I'm here in Burnley, which is near Manchester in the UK. Deana, I was going to start with your connections to the UK. Have you got happy memories of this country?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Well, I went to Dartington College of Arts, in South Devon and Totnes, and that was really fun. And that was in the 60s. And we had Chad and Jeremy stayed at our house, and it was a really, really fun time for me.
How did you end up in Totnes in Devon? Deana, explain that to us a bit.
I know it's well because it's Dartington College of Arts, and because I wanted to sing and dance, and I was an artist, and I thought, wow, that would be fantastic to go there, and it was absolutely incredible. It was a little scary, being away because I was 18, and then my sister Gail, she had been there, and she said, "Now, Deana, there's a pub that's right on campus, so you watch out." And I said, "Okay, don't you worry about me. It's all okay,
Yeah.
And
Well, Deana, it would be remiss of me not to mention the news that's kind of hit the world of entertainment in the last 24 hours, and that is of the death of Jack Jones. I know you posted about this. Just share a couple of recollections of this great singer.
Oh, he was fantastic. Jack Jones, I just adored him. He was, and in fact, one of the times that he was on the Dean Martin TV show, he was there and he sang so beautifully. But he did a number with my dad and Peggy Lee, and it was, let me see, Baby. It was so cute, and so the three of them together. And my dad said, "Oh, you sound good, too good." It was so cute the way that they, looked at each other, and it was fantastic. But there was something so wonderful about Jack Jones. He had a great sense of humor. He was kind. He had a gorgeous voice, and so we did a lot of shows together, and he was a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. Deana, my dad was a huge fan of your father, and I discovered your dad's music by kind of picking through my father's vinyl collection and discovered.
Right.
And I'm sure you'll know the song in the cool, cool, cool of the evening. I played that so many times as a young kid,
In the
maybe
cool,
before my
cool,
time.
cool of the evening. That's
That's
so
the
cute.
one. Yeah. What do you think it was about your father that gave him the magic dust, if that's the right expression? What separated
Yeah.
him from other people, do you think?
Because he was real. He was kind. He was sweet. He was cool. He had that gorgeous voice. He was brought up right, in Steubenville, Ohio, for my grandmother and my grandfather, my grandmother Angela. And he went to St. Anthony's, and I heard all about, his first Holy Communion. And, so it was just cool. But he was raised the right way. And so he was taught manners. And that's what he instilled in all of us. But there was just something, he had a great sense of humor, so funny because they were kind of wild in Steubenville, growing up. But he had this, it was just in him. And I think it was because of my grandparents that he knew when he told me, he said, "Deana, always treat people the way you want to be treated." And that was Dad. And he had a sense of humor, and he was just kind, and he had that voice, and he started in, like the Boy Scouts. He was a drummer, And but he loved all the singers, and that's what he did. And he would go around Steubenville, and he said he would sing anywhere. He sang at at christenings, at weddings. He said at bar mitzvahs. He said it didn't matter what it was. I was there and I would sing.
Yeah.
And he got some cute jokes from his friends there in Steubenville. But it was something about his heart, and he knew what was right and what was wrong.
And,
And
and
that
yeah, and how did that reflect in? I mean, I've checked out quite a lot of interviews with yourself, and one of the things that came up was you said that your dad was firm but fair. But
was.
what about the religious aspect? Was it quite a religious upbringing for you, Deana?
Well, we went to, we all had, we were baptized, First Holy Communion, and then confirmed. And I went to Beverly Hills Catholic School with all the nuns. Sister Mary Joseph was too funny, I'll tell you that. But and every Friday, Good Friday and everything, we would walk up to church because it was on Roxbury, and let's see, it was on Roxbury, and our church, Good Shepherd, was on Santa Monica and Roxbury, and in the Monsignor who was there. And I have to tell you a funny thing about this, and I'll get back to your question. It was every Sunday we had to go to church. Of course, we go to church, and my grandmother would drive us, and we'd have Holy Communion, and then after we would go to Blum's and have breakfast, which was great. But there we did it every Sunday. We never missed, and then we went for Christmas Eve and everything, midnight mass. And one night, and I have to tell you, this was not too long ago, but we went to Good Shepherd for midnight mass, and it was closed. We went, what? It's closed. So we ended up driving up to St. Victor's, and that was fine. But so the next day, and so I called and I asked, Monsignor Sullivan, I said, what happened? I said, the church wasn't open. He said, no. He said, we went over to Barbara Sinatra's and we did the mass there. I said, to Barbara Sinatra's house? He said, yes. There was a lot of people there. And I said, well, couldn't you have given us a notice or something like that? But it's something that I will always remember because, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, everybody, I mean, they were great. My dad, he wore his St. Christopher and his cross, all of his life. And, but when he said to me, well, we went over to Barbara Sinatra's house and we did it there, I said, okay, all right, well, it's all right. So at least you did do a mass there. And he says, yes.
Yeah. Deana, what can you remember growing up when you kind of realized that your father was famous? Was it kind of, I always think about in this country that the kids are the royals, and how
Yeah.
they kind of learn and establish to deal with being part of a celebrity. Do you remember that kind of part of your life?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, we had seven, I had six brothers and sisters. So it was, a big house in Beverly Hills, and everybody seemed like we were all named the same, Dina, Dino, Gina, Jeannie, and so it was chaos all the time because we're all running around. Now imagine if we each had a friend over. So now that's 14 people. And then, at dinner, and my dad was so fun and so kind, and he would come home every night, for dinner. We would know when he would walk in the back door because they had taps on the shoes then, the heels, so the heels wouldn't, wear down. And we could tell when he came in because he would walk past the laundry room, say hi to Claudie, and then go in and he would get a piece of bread and put butter on it, fold it, walk into the living room and have his hour with the Jeannie, with my mom. And he would call her my little Jeannie, and they'd have their quiet time together, and then we would all have dinner together, and it was a spectacular life. And I knew, and I'm trying to think what the movie was. It might have been Rio Bravo that my sisters and I we went there, and it was in Westwood, California, and that was the first time that I looked up and I saw the billboard, and it said Rio Bravo, starring Dean Martin and John Wayne, and I went. My sister said, that's how you spell your name. You're Deana, Deana. I said, oh, so that was the first time I kind of saw my name in lights. But I said, oh, and all these people were there to see Dad, and he was so good in Rio Bravo. I mean, well, he was good in every movie, everything he did. it was, he was top drawer. He was fantastic, and people loved him
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
But he could talk to anyone. He was just the kindest. He was happy, in a restaurant, in the kitchen, talking with the busboys and the cooks and everything. And then he could go to England and he could visit the Queen, and he was perfectly happy, visiting the Queen. Or, he liked people. He liked his quiet. He he wasn't egotistical in any way. This is his job. He would get there and sing, and he was funny and humorous, and he would learn his songs, which was, fantastic because he liked to play golf every day. So he would take the cassette of the song he had to learn for his show, put it in the golf cart, go around and play golf. And he told me, he said, Deana, now do you know why I work? I said, no, Dad, why do you work? He said, well, to pay for you kids and to play golf. And he said, I've been blessed with, he was able to do all of this. And he was just, magnificent, but he had it. And he just had that sense of humor, and he was brought up right, and he brought us up right.
And what did he make of his talent, Dina? I've asked this to people who have got, whether it's the ability to make somebody laugh or to sing joyfully. What did he make of the talent that he had? Did he consider it a gift? Or did he think it was something else?
He considered it a gift because he just had that beautiful voice. He didn't have to go take voice lessons or
Yeah.
anything. He could just sing, and it was from his heart. And he just had that wonderful voice, and he was a kind person. He was down to earth. And I say, I owe it to my grandparents, Guy and Angela, because they came over. My grandfather was a barber. They came over to America from Italy in 1913 on the boat, past Ellis Island. And how my grandfather got to Steubenville, Ohio, I don't know, but they were there. And my grandmother was a fabulous cook and a seamstress, and my grandfather was a barber. And I think maybe one of the reasons why my dad always looked good, he always dressed right, is because his mother was a seamstress, and she would make sure all the clothes were altered, and he looked good, and so she gave him a sense of style. But there was just something. My dad never, as I say, he didn't have any ego about
No.
his singing ability. He would get up, he would work, he would do it, and that was what that's what he did.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he never, he didn't ask us to go into show business or anything. Whatever we wanted to do, he said, finish school, do that, and whatever you decide to do, work very hard at it.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, Dina, in this country, there's been a lot of media attention about the death of Liam Payne from One Direction, and I wondered if I could ask you about how a family with a famous person dies. There's the public grief, isn't there? But then there's the private grief. Was that a difficult period for you as a young person?
Well, first of all, my dad lived, to be 78 years old, so we were all grown up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who I remember it was pretty shocking when Frank Sinatra Jr. was kidnapped, right? And so we were all afraid, and so Dad, he called people and they made sure that we found out where he was, and thank heavens, God willing, he was fine. But we were nervous about things like that. But my dad, we were all healthy. He would get up and he would go play golf, and he would eat right, and we would play tennis, and we had a swimming pool. We were so lucky, growing up, and so there was just something healthy about my dad, and that's how he taught us. In fact, here's a tidbit for people. We would go to dinner. We'd have dinner at home, and we'd have rolls, dinner rolls or a baguette, and he would take the baguette and pull the inside of the bread out and just eat the crust. So if you'd go out to dinner and you'd have your little butter plate, you'd see all the inside of the bread on his plate. He said, and you'll never get fat if you just eat the crust. So he gave us tips, and he was just a lot of fun, and so kind to my friends.
Yeah.
And So it was a good upbringing. He's the one, he and my mom, of course, they're the ones who taught us manners. And we respected my dad because you never wanted to do anything wrong because then you'd have to go into the den. Oh no, not the den. Go into the den, like if we did something wrong, you're going in the den. And so I remember I did something and they said, you have to go into the den tonight, and then when your father comes home, okay. So I go in the den and I'm sitting in the den and the door would open. He'd walk in and he'd go, now, tell your mother I was really hard on you and don't ever be late for dinner again. Okay, I love you. He walked out. That was,
Oh,
okay.
lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And see, but the thing is, we respected him so. Oh, okay. We never wanted to, upset him. We had such respect for him because he was so great. Don't ever do that again, Deana. Okay. And and then off he would go. And it was amazing, but we had such respect for him. And I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And was it always inevitable that you would follow in his footsteps and into the world of showbiz, or was there ever a yearning to do something else, Deana?
Well, I've always done a lot of different things, but I was brought up, and I had tap dancing lessons and ballet lessons and piano lessons. So that was all, part of it. It was in me. It was a part of me. My sister Claudia, she liked to act. My brother Dino, he had Dino, Desi, and Billy. They sang together, but it was just something in me, and we're all kind of out there. We're kind of boisterous. And I remember going to the Sands Hotel when I was 9 years old. And I saw my dad in the Copa room. And I'm sitting in the front row. Well, it was little tables. And the whole Copa room would be dark. And then you'd hear the announcer in a drum roll. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sands Hotel is proud to present the star of our show, direct from the bar, Dean Martin. And then my dad would walk out and everybody, oh, there he is. And he was so cute and funny. Never finished a song all the way, and he would tell jokes, and he was just so at home on the stage. And I thought, I want to do that. And
Yeah.
when he would sing, and the reaction from the people, they just loved him. And I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. And so I studied, and I worked, hard at doing it. And here I am. Um, Still doing it and loving it. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like you needed to break free from the shackles? I don't mean it that way of being the daughter of Dean Martin, but was there ever a slight tension that you needed to do your own thing and go your own way? Was it ever a compromise for you?
No, in fact, because he was so good about it, he was fantastic. But the thing is, one time, and I did a reading for Otto Preminger, and I'm trying to think of what the movie was. I did a reading. It was, I was called in. I did the reading. I did not get the part, but I'm trying to think who did. Might have been. I can't remember who got the part. I didn't get the part. And I said, well, gee, I didn't even get a call back, so maybe this isn't for me. And then I found out that it was given to someone who had already had the part. I think it was Liza Minnelli, actually. I think Liza got the part. It was the Otto Preminger movie. And I was like, huh, gee, I wonder why I didn't get it. And then my agent said, well, because you're Dean Martin's daughter, they figured you didn't need the work. I thought, well, wait a minute. And Liza Minnelli did. So, and I love Liza. We all grew up together, and Judy Garland. But
Yeah, and then from there you go on to kind of create your own legacy, I suppose,
I,
and your own career, which has included acting and writing and singing.
yes.
What are some of the real joys of your career, Deana, that you think, oh, that was such a wonderful time of my life?
Ah, you know what? I mean, there's many times, and I have to say, being on the Dean Martin show when I was 18, in my little blue dress, and I sang, a song with my dad, and it was actually my prom dress, and I remember, being there with him, and we were singing, oh gosh, um, it'll come back to me. But I had just recorded my first record. And so because we couldn't just get on his show. We had to audition. He
Really?
wouldn't just put us on. Oh yeah, we had to go and audition. And so I had a hit record. It was When He Remembers Me and Bottom of My Mind. And I went and I sang and they said, okay, this will be great. And then we did a duet together. But when I did years later, but that moment when I was with him on the Dean Martin show when I was 18, 19. But years later, when we recorded, True Love together, I recorded it using the same sheet music, the handwritten sheet music from, let's see, oh gosh, it'll come to me in a minute. But I remember recording it and holding, the sheet music of True Love was the Cole Porter song. And then I sang it with my dad. And it's just so beautiful. True Love is it's one of my all-time favorite times. And whenever it comes on, when I hear the music, if I'm listening to Sirius and I hear, us singing together, it touches my heart. Absolutely. True Love. What a beautiful song.
Yeah. And just share with the audience, Deana, that moment when a record or a CD or whatever format we talk about these days is released. Is it a euphoric moment for you? I suppose is the joy in the creation or the actual it's done, it's put to bed and it's now there in the public domain.
It's kind of all of it,
Yeah.
and when you put it out, for me, what was so exciting is I was at the original recording of Memories Are Made of This when my dad recorded it at Capitol Records in Studio A. I remember sitting there in a chair, my feet didn't even touch the ground. And he sang, Memories Are Made of This, and he had the whole orchestra and he did it live. And he was funny with the band. And he did That's Amore and Memories Are Made of This. So I was there, and that's one of the reasons why I named my book Memories Are Made of This, Dean Martin Through His Daughter's Eyes, sitting there and watching him, and how all of the musicians loved him, and he loved them, and he would joke with them, and he would do it, maybe one or two times, and he had that gorgeous voice, and then it was done. So being there with him, and then years later, for me to be able to go to Capitol Records and record was just magnificent for me. That's another, spectacular time for me to be there. And it was just like 50 years before I was there, with my dad watching him sing Memories Are Made of This. So
Yeah.
that's all exciting. And, then, you master it and then picking out the photos for it and putting the order of the songs. And then when you have it, then you have to start doing all the work. Then you have to go to all the radio stations and you sit down and you do interviews. And that was fun. It's exhausting because you wanted to do as many as you could
Mhm.
to get the word out and play it. But I think the first time I heard it on the radio, I was in the car and it was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And so it lifts you up and you go, okay, all that hard work, it's paying off. And it was, it was a blessing for me.
Yeah.
And so everything is just, it's hard work, but go in there and do it. And I enjoy all of it. And that's the best part of it for me because I love doing it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not a musician, but I like yourself. I'm an author. There's my book, Our Daily Bread.
Our daily bread, how
Yeah, that's
fabulous
about
is
how I
that?
became a priest. But what about when you released the book, Dina? I'm surprised. I know for me, when my book came out, it was a joy. But I suppose
Yes.
it's a bit different with the book to music, isn't it? It's received in a different way. Was that equally an exciting time for you when your memoir came out?
Yes, it was because especially when the people would read it and they would find out because it was, it's a true and honest book. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, everybody, and you realize that everybody goes through these things in life. It wasn't just, the perfect little happy, okay, oh yay, Dean Martin. You go through things. My father was divorced and from my mother. And then we went to live with them. And it was, fabulous. So and there were separations and my grandmother died or my
Mm.
grandfather. But so all of these things we're no different. You and I are no different. We go through all of these things in our life. And thank God I have God, because he gets you through the tough times, he gets you through the good times. And it's it was tough to write the book, to go back through all the memories. And I remember, losing my brother Dean Paul,
Mm.
and so it was a tough thing to do. I sat down with a yellow legal pad, didn't do it on a computer. I was writing because I have beautiful handwriting because of Sister Mary Joseph. Catholic school, it's always good handwriting. And so I could sit down and write a memory, and then that would hit another memory for me. And it was I was so blessed to be able to do that. And my handsome husband John, he's the one who helped, with everything.
Yeah.
And he made it work.
Yeah, there's a lot of people behind the book. I think some people think it's just the author, but there is a lot of external work that goes on. Maybe it doesn't get seen in the same way as musicians, the guy on the drums or the guitar, but yeah,
Right.
there's a real team behind it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I was saying, people have to sit down and read the book. You can't just get it and then look at the foreword or whatever and see who is in it. I would love to read your book. I will order your book and read that. It's our daily bread. What could be better than that? And so it's all of the stuff. Now, if you have a record, you give it to the DJ and they play it so you can hear it. You give a book, you don't know if they've read it or not. You know what I mean? So it's because that takes a little bit more of a commitment than
Yeah.
putting a CD or an album, in a jukebox.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Dina, you are somebody, what I really like is somebody who has really embraced the future as well as rejoicing and celebrating the past with your father and the songs that you sing, but you've really embraced the future with the digital platforms that we all know about, YouTube and Facebook and everything. And just tell people about what you do. So if people haven't yet discovered you, they can kind of learn a little bit more about your shows, which are just fabulous.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for saying that. You're very kind. And it is a lot of work. So they should go onto my website, deanamartin.com, onto Facebook or an X and let's see, I've all the social media. But go to my website to deanamartin.com and you can make comments, but I have all my book is for sale, all my CDs, all the albums. And so I have a nice communication with all the people. And in fact, for my podcast, we have for Deana Martin Live, Rosario sits there. She's got two iPhones and let me see, and let's see, a computer. And then John, my handsome husband, he's over here is doing the music. Rosario is looking at all the comments. And so people are saying, "Oh, I love your dress. That's great." And I said, "Thank you, Tom or Elaine Stone from London, England." And so it's something that we can all enjoy together at the same time. And then, of course, you can go back the next day and take a look at it and see, because I don't know what time is it there for you now.
It is 20 to 11 at night, so I'm off to
Okay.
bed soon.
Yeah. I'm gonna have dinner soon and start all over again. So I do that. So I have my the Deana Martin live show on Friday, and it's at uh, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Okay, so Eastern, and so it's on then, and then I have my book and all my CDs and I have my memories are made of this album just came out in vinyl, which is so beautiful to have. I love the vinyls. I have a
Mm.
beautiful record player back here, and so it's all my music and going on to my Deana Martin live show is a lot of fun. I have quite a few beautiful songs that we do, and I do a new song every week. I have a great musician, Rick Creevy, who writes all my arrangements, and he's the piano player, and I got Rick, Eddie Mena on sax. I've got great musicians, and they're not here. Everything is, all of my TV tracks for my albums are done without my voice. So we can just play the track and then I can sing. So it's really a lot of fun. And I tell, corny jokes and I have people, please send me some jokes if you have any.
Well, I
Okay.
thought,
Okay, now
well,
here's one for you. Here's one for you. What did one DNA say to the other DNA?
God, I don't know, Dina. What did one DNA say to the other DNA?
Do these jeans make me look fat?
Oh dear.
Okay.
Well, I like a joke. My book is actually, I used to do stand-up comedy and
I
uh,
can't wait.
it didn't go that well. That's why I'm impressed. But Deana, it's been really lovely talking to you. Um, what does the future hold? Have you still got lots of things you want to accomplish?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
still doing things. I'm going to make my book into a movie,
Okay.
so that will be great. And I need, let me see, I need people to tell me who they think could be Dean Martin, who could play Dean Martin. And so, it's still because he was so amazing. He was uh, handsome and funny and sweet
Yeah.
and kind, and so it's got to be just the right person. And
Yeah.
so that's coming up. And I have an Australian tour coming up, and maybe another book. I want to do a cookbook. And and in my book, I put my grandmother's pasta vajol recipe that I made for my dad, forever, because I remember my grandmother teaching me how to do it when I was 9 or 10 years old. I remembered everything because my dad loved the pasta vajol. And for Christmas one year, I'm thinking, what can I get my dad? Another V-neck cashmere sweater? No. Another framed picture? No. The pasta vajol came to mind. I went to the store, I got it all, I cooked it, put it in a ball mason jar, went to his house, and when I handed it to him, here's my water. And he said, "Is this what I think it is? Is this the pasta vajol?" I said, "Yes." He was just, oh my gosh, he couldn't believe it. He said, "And it's still warm." I said, "Yes." So I made it for him every week.
Yeah.
So
It just shows you, doesn't it? The simple things sometimes,
yeah,
or the
yeah,
things
all you
made
have
with
to do.
love. It's so lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fabulous. And I really hope people enjoy this, have enjoyed this. I know, well, you will know as well as anybody, Deana, that your father was much loved in these British Isles, and I've been watching YouTube clips of him at the London Palladium, and I'm sure
Yeah.
hopefully fans past and present will enjoy our conversation. But for now, Deana, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much. And it's always as when I see a priest, I mean, it's just you look, you go, oh, yay. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for you doing, and I'm going to get your book.
Oh, that's very
Okay?
kind. And we send our love to you from Burnley, near Manchester in the UK, over to you in the States. And thanks for coming on. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you very much.